So my name is Trisha Elliott, and I am in charge of the creative communications around mission and service. And I have with me Ruth Noble, who is on the production side of the communication resources that you receive from mission and service, and Roger James, who hails from Newfoundland. And he's with us as a stewardship and gifts officer, and his area of expertise is around mission and service as well, and he's part of the mission and service team of the philanthropy unit. So we've been asked to share some stories with you, and I'm going to start, and then I'll turn it over to Ruth and to Roger to add some of their stories. And we just thought we'd share with you why it is that mission and service matters to us, and then we'd love to hear from you. Mission and service has never been as top of mind for me as it is right now during COVID and this crisis. And I think for me, I can't help but be impacted and changed by the stories that I'm hearing from our mission and service partners and what they are doing on the ground right now in the midst of this crisis. One conversation in particular, well, there are a couple, but one in particular that really stands out for me is a conversation I had with Joan Silcox Smith, and she is the chaplain at Grey Bruce Health Center, and we support Grey Bruce through our mission and service donations, and I believe individual churches do as well in addition to that. But anyway, I did an interview with her about what her role as a hospital chaplain was like in these days, and of course, she talked about not being able to go into the hospital. She spoke about how she was, in the thick of the SARS crisis and how different this is from that for her and her role. And she talked about, supporting staff. She talked specifically about a nurse that she was supporting who had to be tested for COVID, and it was a very stressful time when she was told to go home. Her partner was not able to go to work. At the same time, there was some stigma among her colleagues around that, and that she was doing a lot of phone counseling with her, pastoral care with her. And then she talked about another staff member who said that if they got to a point where they were caring for people on the inside, when they meant the hospital, on the inside who were dying, they really needed to know that there were chaplains on the outside who were taking care of those people's families. And I mean, I've done a lot of interviews. I've worked for the Observer for years. I've done a lot of interviews. And that comment gave me pause. I actually teared up, because it hadn't occurred to me how important it would be for the staff just to know that while they couldn't also care for the patient's family within the circle of care that in the way that they'd want to, that knowing somebody on the outside made all the difference to them. And it was one of those moments where I just sort of stopped and thought, right, even on the outside, when we're not able to be at the bedside, we're doing something that's important, and we're caring in an important way. I've had conversations with mission and service supported camps that are providing children's programs right now through Zoom and other ways to try and give families a break and children something to do during this time of isolation. Also really important. I've talked to many, many mission and service partners who are delivering food, delivering medications, making sure people have access to healthcare. One organization that is making sure that pregnant teens are able to go to medical appointments. But I think one of the conversations that impressed me most was a conversation that I had with a number of global partners over a Zoom call. It was about a month ago or so, and it was the first ever Zoom call of all those global partners all together comparing notes around this crisis. And the partners from the Philippines, they were talking about how isolation is enforced there, how if anybody goes outside their homes, they're being arrested or being threatened with being shot. And what they're saying is that people are dying of hunger in their homes, because and venturing or having to make that choice whether they're going to die of hunger inside or go outside and risk getting shot to be able to find food. And they are risking their lives to deliver food to people who need it, door to door. And I don't know how anybody could not be impressed by that level of commitment. And so, it's just impressed upon me that what we're doing right now through our gifts to mission and service is Jesus' work. This is the hands and feet of Jesus at work in our world. We have, as some of you probably know, 72 ministries around the globe that we support, 49 here in Canada that we support through mission and service. And when you think about that, think 121 organizations or social agencies, but that's the organization. And you think for every one of those organizations, the hundreds and thousands of people that they touch, those lives that they change, it's an incredible impact that we have when we give to mission and service. So, last year altogether, I believe we gave about $28 million, and that includes, gifts through the gift catalog and emergency appeals and things. But that's an incredible amount of impact and difference making that we make every year. It's incredible. And really, when it boils down to it, mission and service does three things. Our goal is, they're simple and complex all at the same time. We save and change lives, we inspire meaning and purpose, and we help build a better world. That's what we do with all of our gifts, whether we're designating them in Canada or abroad. Doesn't matter what we're doing. We're touching on one of those three key areas of change. And so we make an impact every day through our gifts. And certainly, people have been asking what we're doing right now through this crisis. Well, we're already on the ground doing it. We have been before it hit. We have been as it's going, and we will be afterwards. And so I'm going to turn it over to Ruth and Roger to share some of their personal impact stories of mission and service and how it makes a difference to you.
Well, for me, mission and service is my lifeblood. It's the pulse in me. Everyone has a pulse. That's mission and service. Mission and service is how we, as the United Church, change, make a difference in the world. I grew up in a church that, and Kay will know this, that Central United, that was very passionate, still is, about mission and service. It was the biggest budget line after the minister's salary on our list, and we went into deficit so that we could still give to mission and service. We spent a winter with the boiler in pieces so that we could give to mission and service because it's too important not to. I've been thinking about China, where this began, and our partner there, Amity Foundation. And I remember going to China for Amity's 30th anniversary 5 years ago and seeing all the work that they're doing there and the amazing stories that we were hearing of how they were saving those who had fallen through the cracks of the social safety net. And they're everywhere. They're in nursing homes. They were caring for people who couldn't be with their families. There was a beautiful story of a nurse who had a patient who had Alzheimer's, and the patient was agitated because she couldn't see her family. And so the nurse took her phone out and put a video call on so that the woman could see her family and would calm down and be happy again and be able to be at peace for the rest of her day. And there's just so many of those heart stories in mission and service. It's who we are. We are mission and service as the United Church of Canada. It is it's our beating heart. It's our heart and soul. So, and it's been around since before the church started. So yeah. Okay, Roger, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks. For me, I grew up in the church, and when I chose to be confirmed, and when I chose to kind of enter into a relationship with the larger community, I always measured what I did and what the community did by what a difference we could make in the lives of others in Christ's name. And I continue to see that. And one of the things that I think today is that I don't think we tell our story enough. I'm so incredibly proud of being a member of the United Church of Canada over the history of how many times we have touched so many lives near and far, and the difference that we make every day. And for me, one of the profound ways in which we do that, which we need to continue to lift up, is by working through partners. And I think that's an incredible advantage. So instead of trying to meet need individually, or even as congregations, we do it together, but we work with partners who are already making a profound difference, and we empower them with our donations and with our thoughts and with our prayers to continue to make an incredible difference. And today, what I find really encouraging is the stories that I'm hearing about our partners who are adjusting to a pandemic that we couldn't have seen coming a year ago or so. And just to lift up one of those, I never grew up being involved in United Church camping, and when I was a student, I had an opportunity to fly all across the country to Vancouver to First United Church, and they had a relationship with Camp Firkham, and so I was invited to go as a chaplain for a week at Camp Firkham. And I went there, and I don't know how much good I had as a chaplain, but I can tell you it really converted me to United Church camping and the power of the difference we make in the lives of children every week, and continue to the leaders. And so when I was ordained a couple of years later, I ended up on the west coast of Newfoundland and Labrador, and ironically was asked early on would I become involved in West Haven camp. And I did, and served there as on the board, as well as going there as director and as chaplain, and was just so super impressed with the way that we were ministering with and to children and youth, the inclusion, the acceptance, the faith formation that was profound. I mean, children leading worship and talking about their faith. And I found there was no other place in society, including in my experience of Sunday school at the time, that gave people that kind of confidence, that kind of development and exploration of their faith, and who formed friendships that lasted throughout their lives. And that place still touches me. And Mission and Service has been supporting that kind of ministry and that kind of profound change in the lives of people for many, many years. And that's the way we work. We work with partners that make a real difference, and we enable and empower that to happen. And so my hope and my wish is that in this challenging time, when many congregations are concerned about surviving and their personal ministry survive, I hope what's not lost is the profound way that we are the church together. The sum is a lot more than the individual parts. And when we contribute, we do make incredible difference. And so as long as we can continue to tell those stories and continue to be excited about the ways in which we live our faith as a denomination, I'm just really excited about it.
Thanks, Roger. Joshua, do you want to turn it over to questions or comments?